Heads up, because you are in the Hoodwood. I'm the Black Bandit, KJ Green, welcoming you to another edition of Sports from the Hoodwood. Coming up in this edition, the first college football playoff poll comes out. Did they get it right? And now there's going to be some more shuffling coming up. The Lions and the Chiefs, are they the NFL's best two teams and headed for a big showdown in Big Easy in February? Take a look at that. It's going to be a quick show, so we'll have NFL Week 10 picks. A decent week. I'll see if I can keep it going. We'll have Phat, Head Slap, the Hoodwood Hot 5, and the final word from the wood. It's all coming at you. Put on your crash helmets, buckle your seatbelts. I almost say put on your seatbelts and buckle your crash helmets. One of those two. Put your crash helmets on, buckle your seatbelts. Maybe grab a cold drink. We're going to move quickly. Sports with Hoodwood coming at you. Let's go.
You're tuned in to Sports from the Hoodwood, the internet's foremost location for the most honest, unfiltered commentary and insight on the world of sports. Now, once again, here's Hoodwood's hometown hero, KJ Green.
Greetings from Hoodwood, where everything's going to be moving fast this week. So I told you, buckle up, put your crash helmets on, and go with the bumpy ride. It should be too bumpy, but that's neither here nor there. Let's get started this week with the college football playoff poll. The first of the year came out on Tuesday, and to no one's surprise, Oregon's number one. But there were a lot of upset fans, particularly in the Columbus area, that says, how come we're number two, but we've got to play in the first round? Well, the bracket's using the committee's top 25 rankings, and it's always important to note that the top 25 ranking doesn't match the seed in the playoff. And the four highest ranked conference champions receive the top four seeds, no matter where they rank in the top 25. So, theoretically, the Big 12 champion could be the 25th ranked team in the country. They're going to get one of those four berths. It's not the top four teams in ranking. It's the top four. It's the four highest seeded conference champions. Then you have the next 8 spots, or I should say 7 spots, because one of those is being filled by one of the group of 5. You're going to have that spot filled, and then the next 7 highest teams. Now, hopefully, there should be a graphic coming up that has the bracket. And you see Oregon is the number 1 rank. BYU, who is currently leading Big 12, is ranked number 9. But they have one of the 4 bye slots, with Georgia and Miami of Florida taking the numbers 3 and 4 respectively. Now, Ohio State is number 2, but they're playing in the first round. Oh, that caused a big old hullabaloo in Columbus. We're being disrespected. There's one small problem. You lost to Oregon. You're not the Big Ten leader. Now, this is the first poll. That's another thing that I thought was funny. This is the first poll. No one in their right mind thinks this is what it's going to be a month from now. When the conference championships have all shook out, they're going to be, I can guarantee you, there's going to be upsets. There's going to be a lot of chaos between now and, if I had my calendar, I could tell you, is that between now and December 13th, after the conference championships have been played out and the first weekend of the 12-team playoffs are being played on campus sites. There's going to be a lot of shaking out to do. The ACC is going to be messy. You can almost guarantee you that by the time you get to Charlotte, the ACC final is going, a championship game is going to shake out the top 12. The Big 12 in Dallas, once you have their conference championship. We're not even going to start talking about the Big Ten in Indianapolis. Once those championships get taken care of, that's going to clear up the picture. But for now, the top 12 is there. Did they get it right? Did they start off with a baseline of teams qualified to be in talk for the national championship? Of course, you got Boise State there. Boise State's a good team. A damn good team. They deserve to be in that ranking. Now, you're going to have some dark horses still out there. There's going to be a group of 5 teams somewhere in the mix. But I don't want to hear people talking about, the SEC needs to have 4 teams in and the Big Ten needs to have 4 teams. No, they don't. 3. At the most. 3. 1, 2, 3. That's it. I'm thinking of equity, fairness, the right teams in, so it's not a overly weighted to end up being a Big Ten versus SEC championship every year. We don't want that. We want the best 12 teams slugging it out for a shot to play on that second Monday of January. That's all we want. That's all I've ever talked about. I've been campaigning on these airwaves for a dozen years. Make a playoff. Make it more than just 4 teams. Now, I can speak from being greedy with my beloved Bearcats having made the playoff, a 14 playoff in 2021. Had it been a 12-team playoff, they would have had a first round bye. They wouldn't have had to face Alabama in the first round. But you have 12 teams now. And I think what the aim of the CFP pollsters and board need to do is make sure that they get the right teams. Oregon, of course, that's a no-brainer. Georgia's a no-brainer. Miami's probably going to be a no-brainer. But it's those other teams, your Tennessees, your Indianas, your Ohio States, your BYUs, your Colorados, who could be a dark horse. Those are the teams you want to make sure that you get right because you want a perfect, I would say, a fairly perfect tournament for the first time for being 12 teams. Now, this time of the year, I've gotten a lot of criticisms like, why don't you talk more about basketball? Why don't you talk more about pro hoops? I am of the belief that basketball, at least pro basketball, doesn't really get started till Christmas. You just need to shake out a few things the first 6 or 7 weeks of the season before you still start really establishing who the pecking order is. Now, I could and I will talk about next week the mess that is in Milwaukee. That Doc Rivers, who I thought was a pretty good coach in his own right, has totally messed up that situation in Milwaukee. We'll talk about that next week. And we'll look some more into college basketball. My beloved Bearcats got off and winging their first game of the season. And we'll talk a little bit more varied topics here in the coming weeks, especially with basketball. But we will look at the 2 teams in the NFL that I think are the most dominant in the Detroit Lions and the Kansas City Chiefs. Now, the Detroit Lions go into this week 7-1. After a third dominating performance. And think about their big wins. They've all been on the road. They went to Dallas, beat up on the Poke something fierce. They went to Minnesota, won a slug-out game with the Vikings at US Bank Arena, US Bank Stadium. Never a fun place to play. And now they have another big game trophy, if you will, in the Green Bay Packers going to Lambeau Field in the rain. It wasn't, and people have long knocked the Lions for being a dome team and them being soft. They didn't look soft when they handled the Packers, beating them 24-14 at Lambeau in the driving rain. This is a team that plays loose, aggressive. There's a sense of, Dan Campbell has brought a sense of joy to that team They're a rugged team. They'll punch you in the mouth as much as play track meet with you. Jared Goff has had a revival of his career. And I'm not saying, and people knock Jared Goff, forgetting that he took a team to a Super Bowl. But after he was traded for Matthew Stafford, and Stafford won a Super Bowl a few years back, and people were wondering, was Jared Goff the throwaway in the deal? When it turns out he really wasn't. And his pinpoint passing has made the Lions a deadly team to work and to try to play against. And we haven't even gotten into the running backs, Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery, Sonic and Knuckles, if you will. Their running has kept defenses honest. And they have made the Lions offense that much more diverse. Amon-Ra St. Brown is Goff's favorite target, and everybody knows it. But he can spread the ball around so well. And his efficiency is second to none. The Lions are the toughest team in the NFC. And I'm still trying to figure out how the Buccaneers beat them. Because that's their only loss. And beat them in Detroit. Make that make sense. The AFC, you have the two-time defending Super Bowl champions in the Kansas City Chiefs. 8-0. They beat the Buccaneers. Something the Lions wasn't able to do, but they took them to overtime. Now, the Chiefs, for their part, are playing the old lion in winter. They're old, savvy, knowing that they are still the team that everybody wants to beat. Patrick Mahomes isn't having the mind-blowing statistical season that most people have become accustomed to. Travis Kelce's a little old. They are hurting in the wide receiver positions. Rashee Rice going on the IR, but they were able to pick up DeAndre Hopkins, and he has quickly become one of Mahomes' favorite targets, along with Travis Kelce. Their running game, Kareem Hunt has filled in nicely, but he's not really the dominant back that many people would have expected him to be. But he has filled in enough to keep the Chiefs' running game fairly honest. Chiefs' defense, bend but don't break. They play just good enough where they keep opposing offenses frustrated. The Chiefs have played, of their 8 wins, their biggest win was a 10-point win over the 49ers. Of their 8 wins, 6 of them are within 7 points. They are playing and winning close games. Now, will someone get their number here soon? Can all but guarantee it. They still got to go to Denver. There's a game in a place called Orchard Park, New York. There's a team called the Buffalo Bills sitting just on the periphery waiting for a slip-up. The Chiefs will get beat in the regular season. Now, beating them in January, especially if the road to the playoffs goes through Kansas City, good luck. The Lions and the Chiefs could very well be meeting Super Bowl 59 in New Orleans. It could happen. Now, there's still a lot of football to be played. We'll be taking a look at NFL Week 10 picks. Nice segue. And we will look at some of the bigger games we'll look at all the games, but we'll detail some of the bigger games. Will the Chiefs get beat playing Denver? Will the Lions, they have a tough game in Houston coming up. Will they be able to keep their perfect road record intact? Take a time out and find all that out on the other side of the break. Sports from the Hoodwood comes back at you after this.
Is today your last day on Earth because you are being deployed to space tomorrow? Have you just turned 18 and you're ready to get out of your parents' house? Has your granddaughter gotten her boyfriend pregnant? Whatever your reason, you need us at GottaGetMarriedNow.com. We specialize in last-minute weddings, active duty, Military veterans and retired discounts are available. Visit us at gottagetmarriednow.com.
You're tuned in to Sports from the Hoodwood, the internet's premier destination for no-nonsense commentary, thorough analysis, and logical insight on the world of sports. Now here's the man that Wikipedia and Google call for sports fact checks, your host, KJ Green.
You are back in the Hoodwood. My name is KJ Green, and let's go to the Week 10 NFL picks. And for those who saw on the Facebook group, I've already put myself in a nice little boost, going 1-0, even though I thought the Bengals did get robbed in that game, but that's neither here nor there. I'll be honest, I was starting to worry last week. The picks started bad. Now the Jets finally act like they got some sense. I don't get them. The Pats disintegrated in overtime. That was a toss-up, to be honest. And the Browns went back into the tank as expected. But the Bengals played that why don't you play like this every week game that I said was going to happen, and things started falling in line. The end result, a rinse-repeat week that I like, another 12-3 week. Now with optimism flowing abundantly, I present to you the week's picks for your review, perusal, and approval. All lines are provided by ESPN Bet and are for entertainment and comparison purposes only. If you bet the lines and lose, I don't pay bookies. Plain and simple. All times listed are Eastern Standard, and do consult the fine website at 506sports.com for a full coverage map of the games in your area. The Browns, who lost to the Chargers 27-10, the 6-3 Packers, who lost to the Lions 24-14, the 2-7 Raiders, who lost to the Bengals 41-24, and the 4-5 Seahawks, who lost to the Rams 26-20 in overtime, are on their respective byes this week. Let's start with the games of Sunday, November 10th. Once again, these are all listed in Eastern Standard Times. Check your local listings for the games in your area. We will start out with the 2-7 Giants taking on the 2-7 Panthers at Allianz Arena in Munich, Germany. 9:30 a.m. kickoff on NFL Network. The Giants 5-point favorites. Last week, the Giants lost to the Commanders 27-22, while the Patriots, try that again. We'll start out with the games of Sunday, November 10th. First game on the docket is an international game. The 2-7 Giants taking on the 2-7 Panthers at Allianz Arena in Munich, Germany. 9:30 a.m. kickoff on NFL Network. The Giants are 5-point favorites. Last week, the Giants lost to the Commanders 27-22, while the Panthers defeated the Saints 23-22. Fast fact here is that this is the Giants' fifth trip to Europe and their second to Germany, where they have won all 4 previous trips over in Europe. Now, Germany is probably wondering what they did to the U.S. to deserve such a horrible matchup. Both teams are essentially going nowhere. The Panthers' otherwise dismal season was cheered last week with the surprise win over the Saints, while the G-Men are looking more and more lost by the week. Flip a coin here. The Giants haven't lost overseas yet, and I think that streak continues. The pick here is the New York Giants. Turn to the mainland for the early games. First on the docket will be the 2-7 Patriots taking on the 4-4 Bears at Soldier Field in Chicago. 1 o'clock kickoff on Fox. The Bears are 6-point favorites. Last week, the Patriots lost to the Titans 20-17 in overtime, while the Bears lost to the Cardinals 29-9. Fast fact here, the Bears have won their last 8 games that they've played in Chicago. Now, the Pats keep figuring new and exciting ways to lose. Last week, bumbling through a winnable game in Nashville, but losing in overtime. They head to the Midway to face a Jekyll and Hyde Bears team that looks fearsome at home, but lackluster on the road, as evidenced in their dismal effort out in the desert against the Cardinals. Caleb Williams is playing decently, but he's still going through growing pains. And his counterpart in Drake May for the Pats is doing the same. That said, I think the Bears are still the much better team, and playing at home is always good tonic. The pick here is Chicago. Okay, next on the docket, we have the 5-4 Broncos taking on the 8-0 Chiefs at GEHA Field at Arrowhead Stadium in Kansas City. 1 o'clock kickoff on CBS. The Chiefs 8-point favorites. Last week, the Broncos lost to the Ravens 41-10, while the Chiefs defeated the Buccaneers 30-24 in overtime. Fast fact here is the Chiefs won 8 straight games in which they've trailed at any point in the second half. Now, the Broncos came back to earth with a mighty thud after getting slapped around by the Ravens and faced the unenviable task of playing the unbeaten Chiefs in Kansas City. You know, there was a time where the Broncos were once the dominant team with the marquee quarterback, while the Chiefs were struggling for a modicum of respectability. Now, those days are long gone as the Chiefs win with a methodical, almost businesslike, boring efficiency. Though they did test many of their fans' patience with an overtime slugfest with the Bucs last Monday. I can't see the Broncos giving the Chiefs that much of a hard time, though their defense will make it a bit harder for Patrick Mahomes. Chiefs will get beat this season, just not this week. Pick is Kansas City. Next on the docket, we have the 6-2 Vikings taking on the 2-7 Jaguars at Everbank Stadium in Jacksonville. 1 p.m. kickoff on Fox. Vikes are 4-point favorites. Last week, the Vikings defeated the Colts 21-13, while the Jaguars lost to the Eagles 28-23. Fast fact, this is the Vikings' third all-time visit to Jacksonville. They've won their previous 2 trips in 2008 and 2016. The Vikes won a grimy, gutty game against the Colts last week and now head to the River City to face the Jags, who are looking rather ragged. It will be a quick reunion for the Vikes left tackle Cam Robinson, who was just traded to the Vikes from the Jags last week, and has provided solid line work in place of the injured Christian Darrisaw. The Jags, for their part, have stayed in a lot of games, either dig themselves too deep a hole to rally from or make a fatal mistake late to thwart a comeback. They managed to do both last week in losing to the Eagles. Now, the Vikings' relentless defensive pressure will likely do the former and prevent much worry about the latter happening. The pick is Minnesota. Next on the docket, we have the 6-2 Steelers taking on the 7-2 Commanders at Northwest Stadium in Landover, Maryland. 1 o'clock kickoff on CBS. The Commanders are 3-point favorites. Last week, the Steelers were on their bye, while the Commanders defeated the Giants 27-22. Fast fact, this is the team's 80th meeting all time, but the Steelers' first visit to D.C. since 2016. Now, this is arguably the best game on the early slate as the Steelers make the rare trip to the nation's capital to face the red-hot Commanders. Now, both teams have rugged defenses and offenses piloted by dynamic quarterbacks. I'll give Russ the benefit of the doubt on this one. But I'm really liking how Jay Daniels has his team believing in him that fast. This is a tough call. Steelers play well on the road, and they always bring their fans, but I think the Commanders win another ugly game. The pick here is Washington. Next on the docket, we have the 6-3 Falcons taking on the 2-7 Saints at Caesars Superdome in New Orleans. 1 o'clock kickoff on Fox. The Falcons are 3.5-point favorites. Last week, the Falcons defeated the Cowboys 27-21, while the Saints lost to the Panthers 23-22. Fast fact, Saints running back Alvin Kamara needs 12 rushing yards to surpass Mark Ingram as the franchise's all-time leading rusher. The Falcons are starting to believe that they are part of the NFC elite as they toyed with the Cowboys in a performance much more dominant than the score would show. They head to the Big Easy to face a Saints team that has seemingly disintegrated after a promising 2-0 start. This disintegration reached its nadir last week with a dispiriting collapse against the lowly Panthers, and that cost Dennis Allen his job. So now Derek Carr has gotten Dennis Allen fired from 2 different coaching jobs. Now with a real chance to strengthen their hold on the NFC South lead, the Falcons are in no mood to play the fall guy for interim coach Darren Rizzi, attempting to get his first coaching win. The pick is Atlanta. We will take a timeout, come back with the rest of the Week 10 NFL picks. This is Sports from the Hoodwood. Coming right back at you after this.
Is today your last day on Earth because you are being deployed to space tomorrow? Have you just turned 18 and you're ready to get out of your parents' house? Has your granddaughter gotten her boyfriend pregnant? Whatever your reason, you need us at GottaGetMarriedNow.com. We specialize in last-minute weddings. Active duty, military veterans and retired discounts are available. Visit us at GottaGetMarriedNow.com.
You're tuned in to Sports from the Hoodwood, the internet's foremost location for the most honest insight, thorough analysis, and unfiltered opinion on the world of sports. Now, once again, here's the man of the hour, After Hours, your host, KJ Green.
You are back in the Hoodwood. Let's continue with the Week 10 picks. Next on the docket, we have the 4-4 49ers taking on the 4-5 Buccaneers at Raymond James Stadium in Tampa. 1 o'clock kickoff on Fox. The 49ers are 5.5-point favorites. Last week, the 49ers were on their bye, while the Buccaneers lost to the Chiefs 30-24. Fast fact here is 49ers tight end George Kittle has 500 career receptions, 4th on the team overall list. He needs 8 catches to tie running back Roger Craig for 3rd. Coming off their bye week, the 49ers head east to face the uneven Bucs, who are coming off a tough overtime loss to the Chiefs, a team that smacked around the Niners rather easily 3 weeks ago. Now, getting players healthy has been a focus for the Niners, something the Bucs wish they could do in their decimated receiving corps. I think that the rested Niners, despite having to play on the road in a graveyard time for Western teams, will get a ragged but much-needed win. The pick here is San Francisco. Next on the docket, we have the 7-2 Bills taking on the 4-5 Colts at Lucas Oil Stadium in Indianapolis. 1 o'clock kickoff on Fox. The Bills are 4-point favorites. Last week, the Bills defeated the Dolphins 30-27, while the Colts lost to the Vikings 21-13. Fast fact is Bills kicker Tyler Bass hit a career-long 61-yard field goal to beat the Dolphins. And I think it would have been good from 65 or 70. It was that good. Bills won a thrilling game over their despised rivals at home and head west to face a former divisional rival. The Colts look lackluster in a primetime tilt with the Vikings and are hoping that Joe Flacco can reach back in the way back from his halcyon days in Baltimore and Cleveland to play better than the ineffective Anthony Richardson. The Colts defense plays solidly, but due to their inconsistency of their offense, seem to be on the field too much and get worn out. It's either 23:06 to 36:54 possession time discrepancy from last week. I'm afraid that might be the case against the Bills, and their offense is much more diverse than the Vikings. The pick here is Buffalo. Next on the docket, going to the late games, we have the 2-6 Titans taking on the 5-3 Chargers at SoFi Stadium in Inglewood, California. 4:05 kickoff on Fox. The Chargers are 8-point favorites. Last week, the Titans defeated the Patriots 20-17 in overtime. Don't mind things falling off the ledge. While the Chargers defeated the Browns 27-10. Fast fact, here's these two franchises faced off in the first AFL championship game in 1960. Chargers were in LA, but about to move to San Diego, where they would be 56 years before moving back. The Titans were the then Houston Oilers. Titans finally got one to break their way in a sloppy but satisfying win over the Pats. Now they head west to face the Chargers team, fattening their record on weaker teams. I don't trust the Chargers offense one bit, but they've gotten into a rhythm as of late, and that should be enough. Ducky Rudolph and the Titans offense will find the sledding a lot tougher on the road against a fairly stout Charger defense. The pick here is Los Angeles Chargers. Next on the docket, we have the 3-6 Jets taking on the 5-4 Cardinals at State Farm Stadium in Glendale, Arizona. 4:25 kickoff on CBS. The Chargers are 1-point favorites. Last week, the Jets defeated the Last week, the Jets defeated the Texans 21-13, while the Try it again. Next on the docket, we have the 3-6 Jets taking on the 5-4 Cardinals at State Farm Stadium in Glendale, Arizona. 4:25 kickoff on CBS. The Cardinals are favored by 1 point. Last week, the Jets defeated the Texans 21-13, while the Cardinals defeated the Bears 29-9. Fast fact, the Cardinals' 3-game winning streak is their longest and first since 2021. Now, the Jets may have saved their season with a grimy yet needed win over the Texans, and now head west to the desert to face this is correct, folks, the NFC West leading Cardinals. They've ripped off 3 straight wins and have looked as if they enjoy playing the bully and throttling the Bears. Have the Jets found their offensive mojo? I really don't trust either team, to be perfectly honest, but I think Garrett Wilson and Devontae Adams are giving Aaron some real downfield threats. I'm going to hold my nose, and despite what I've said in previous weeks, the New York Jets are the Hoodwood upset of the week. Next on the docket, we have the 6-2 Eagles taking on the 3-5 Cowboys at AT&T Stadium in Arlington, Texas. 4:25 kickoff on CBS. The Eagles are 7.5-point favorites. Last week, the Eagles defeated the Jaguars 28-23, while the Cowboys lost to the Falcons 27-21. Fast fact here is Philadelphia scored their first points in the first quarter this season against the Jaguars. Dallas is one of two winless teams at home this season. Now, the Eagles raced out to an expected big lead, then wobbled badly down the stretch and nearly giving a game away against the woebegone Jags. They head to Jerry World to face the soap opera that is the Dallas Cowboys. The Pokes are getting more and more dysfunctional by the second, and I think Mike McCarthy's already looking like he wants out. Eagles will continue to lean on the dynamic play of both Jalen Hurts and Saquon Barkley and hope Nick Sirianni doesn't think he's too smart for the situation and overthink his offense. His puzzling moves on the offensive side are keeping opponents in games. Now, Cooper Rush steps into the QB breach for the Pokes, and it couldn't have come at a more worse time. This won't be pretty, folks. That's why I'm making Philadelphia the Hoodwood lock of the week. Next on the docket, we have the 7-1 Lions taking on the 6-3 Texans at NRG Stadium in Houston. 8:20 kickoff on NBC and Peacock. The Lions are 3.5-point favorites. Last week, the Lions defeated the Packers 24-14, while the Texans lost to the Jets 21-10. Fast fact here is the Lions are unbeaten on the road, while the Texans have yet to lose at home. Following a satisfying win in less than ideal conditions at Lambeau, the increasingly confident Lions head to Houston for an intriguing matchup with the Texans. The Texans played a puzzlingly poor game in Gotham and are coming off the mini bye after playing a week ago Thursday. And you already know that I'm a big CJ Stroud fan, and the possibility of him having Nico Collins at his disposal make them a tough team. But these Lions are on a different level. Jared Goff has been shredding defense with pinpoint passing, and the Sonic Knuckles combination of Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery are a real headache for opposing defenses. And the Lions defense, for their part, hasn't missed a beat, even with the loss of Aiden Hutchinson. In short, the Lions are playing with confidence, swagger, and attitude, and believe that they are one of the NFL's elite teams. I see no real reason for them to think otherwise, and I think they will pass a crucial road test. The pick here is Detroit. And finally, the Monday night game is the 2-6 Dolphins taking on the 4-4 Rams at SoFi Stadium in Inglewood, California. 8:15 kickoff on ESPN only, not ESPN ABC like the last couple of weeks. The Rams are favored by 1 point. Last week, the Dolphins lost to the Bills 30-27, while the Rams defeated the Seahawks 26-20 in overtime. Fast fact, here's Tua Tagovailoa made his first career start against these same Rams in 2020. And though he threw for only 93 yards, the Dolphins knocked off the Rams 28-17. Now, the Dolphins lost a painfully narrow game to the Bills in Buffalo and head west to face Rams team that has seemingly woke up from its early season slumber and has fought back into the NFC West race with a 3-game winning streak. Now, the Dolphins are maddeningly inconsistent. Try it again. The Dolphins are maddeningly, I don't know. Let's try it again. The Dolphins are inconsistent on offense, but you wonder if last week was their breakout game. The Rams won a thrilling OT game in Seattle and have been playing markedly better. Tough call here, but I think that the Rams have played better lately and should grind out a win. The pick here is the Los Angeles Rams, and there you have it. Last week, I not only went 12-3, but my lock and upset were correct. Thank you. The overall tally is 91 wins, 49 losses. I am 4-5 on the locks and 3-6 on the upsets. We will take our final timeout. Come back with Phat Dap, Head Slap, and the final word from the Wood, as well as the Hoodwood Hot 5. I can put that in order. I be dangerous. Sports from the Hoodwood heads down the home stretch after this.
You're tuned into Sports from the Hoodwood, the internet's foremost location for no-nonsense commentary, insight, and opinions on the world of sports. Here now live in living color, black by popular demand, your host, KJ Green.
Rounding third and headed for home here in the Hoodwood, we'll finish up strong with the Hoodwood Hot 5, Phat Dap and Head Slap, and the final word from the Wood. Our Hoodwood Hot 5 is the Hoodwood top 5 college football teams. We will go from 5 to 1. Start out with the 5th ranked team, and these aren't necessarily the CFP rankings or the AP or UPI. They still have UPI? I know Coach is USA Today, but it's AP and USA Today. So anyway, It's not any of their rankings. It's my rankings. Is what I want to say. Who I think the top 5 teams are. 5th ranked team in the Hoodwood Hot 5, dropping from number 4, is the Texas Longhorns. They were on a bye last week, and their next game is against Florida at a noon kickoff Eastern on ABC. Our 4th ranked team are the Miami Hurricanes, the U. Moving up from number 5, they defeated Duke 53-31. The next game is against Georgia Tech in Atlanta, noon kickoff on ESPN. Our 3rd ranked team was the Ohio State Buckeyes, dropping down from number 2. They struggled with Penn State in Happy Valley, just beating them 20-13. Their next game is against lowly Purdue. Make sure all the body bags are on standby. This may be a massacre. That's a noon kickoff on Fox. Our 2nd ranked team is the Georgia Bulldogs. They move up from number 3. They defeated Florida 34-20 in Jacksonville. Their next game is in Oxford against Ole Miss. 3:30 kickoff on ABC. And our number 1 team, number 1 undisputed, still here from last poll at number 1, the Oregon Ducks, who defeated Michigan 38-17. Their next game is against Maryland, and that is a conference game. I still can't get over that. Oregon versus Maryland, and that's a conference game. 7 o'clock kickoff on Big Ten Network. That's my Hot 5. What's yours? Turns to the Phat Dap and Head Slap of the Week. The Phat Dap goes to actually an animal. Ben, the lovable golden retriever, who has been a frequent scene stealer in ESPN's pregame college football pregame show. He passed away a couple of days ago. His owner, Kirk Herbstreit, has been known as bringing the dog in, and he just more or less steals scenes and just is a good dog. And he recently took sick, and then it's found out that the ailment that afflicted him was spreading to other parts of his body, and he was put down. But a lot of people came out and gave him support, gave the Herbstreit family a lot of support, and found out that this dog had a lot of fans. So, Phat Dap to the Herbstreit family, and especially Ben, one of Snuffy's kindred spirits. Ben, the golden retriever, crossing the rainbow bridge, but much love. Our head slap of the week goes to Joel Embiid, our subject of our final word from the wood, being critical of Embiid and his lack of playing. He got into it with a Philadelphia reporter who, to Embiid's credit, he was defending his deceased brother and his son, both of whom were named Arthur, from a column that this columnist had written being critical and bringing up his son and his late brother. Embiid confronted said reporter. Now, that wasn't so much the big thing. Players confront reporters about what they write all the time. But Embiid got physical, made loud threats, grabbed this reporter. Embiid was suspended for 3 games for conduct detrimental to the team, and it was fined an undisclosed sum. Joel Embiid normally is a happy-go-lucky, funny, goofy type of guy, and it's understandable that he would be upset about things written about his son and late brother. But there are tactful ways of handling this. And Embiid, it's just a bad look. It's a bad way of being unprofessional. And he really should have known better. It would have been a better look if he had just either ignored him, or hell, he could have even cussed him out and walked away. But when you get physical, that's when you cross the line. And that's just not cool. Now, without much further ado, let's go to the final word from the wood. If there's one thing that I am sure of, no matter what a person's political affiliation is, their conservative, liberal, center of the road, doesn't matter. If it's one thing that I'm pretty sure of is that there is some sort of sports that everyone can agree on. Whether it's watching the World Series, admiring a Shohei Ohtani home run, or watching the impossible runs of Saquon Barkley of the Philadelphia Eagles jumping backward over someone. It still makes no sense to me how he did that. Or watching a dunk or a hockey game. Sports is a unifier. It is the one common thread that everyone can agree on. Even if they agree to disagree, if they're Cowboys and Eagles fans throwing jabs at one another. At the end of the day, they're going to sit back, have a beer, and tease one another relentlessly, but they'll both enjoy the game. And the game is what carries the day. With the political uncertainty that is going on in this country and will be facing the country for the next 4 years, I am hoping, praying that sports will be the one commonality and thread that keeps everyone going. Looking forward to a basketball game. Saturdays down south. Always almost a religious fervor, but fun. Whether it's Hook'em Horns, my beloved Bearcats, UCLA, Rutgers, doesn't matter the school, everyone has their own affiliation. Or on Sundays, cracking open a cold one, plopping down in front of the TV to watch your favorite NFL team, like I do on a fairly regular basis. Or headed to the pitch, watching a soccer game. It's always fun, and it's always something that can take your mind off of your troubles and make the world feel at least a little less harsh. I'm really hoping that sports will be the one thing that calms everyone down, lowers the temperature in the room when people want to argue about this world that we're in. Maybe I'm an optimist, maybe I'm Pollyanna in my thoughts, but a forum like this, something I enjoy doing, talking about sports. I'll talk sports with pretty much anybody. Doesn't matter what your politics are. If you like basketball, you like hockey, you like soccer, you like baseball, hell, if you like tennis or golf, something to discuss that doesn't have an affiliation, a political, an agenda. It's just if your team won or lost. At the end of the day, that's all that really matters to most sports fans. If your team won or lost. And it's my hope from the Hoodwood that we'll continue to be able to have the kind of atmosphere where we can enjoy a ball game. And it is just fun and games. And that is the final word from the Wood. Now, with the music coming up in the background, you know that means that your time here in the Hoodwood is just about done, and I thank you so much for your visit. Now, the show's email is kjgreen@sportsfromthehoodwood.com. Please send me emails regarding show topics, both past and future, questions, comments on the show, and both praise and criticism. I welcome your correspondence, and we'll try to get back with you in a timely manner. Now, the show's website is sportsfromthehoodwood.com and has a back catalog of the show dating back 12 years in both audio and video forms. So you can check that out if there are shows that you may have missed. You can join the debate and conversation on the Sports from the Hoodwood page on Facebook, which also has the video podcast simulcast, as well as other topics, funny stuff that I find on the web, and I find a lot of stuff that'll make you laugh. Plenty of great sports debate and lots more. I post often and I respond to member posts frequently. We have a lot of great contributors, and you can be one too by joining the page. The video versions are also on YouTube. Please hit that subscribe button and smash that like button for more great content. Now, the link to the podcast is also on the show's tribal feed at Hoodwood Sports, and has a host of other interesting stuff to find there. You can hit me up about the show, and we do hit you back. Follow and like there as well. Now, the audio version is on Spotify, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, Pandora, Samsung Podcast, Apple Podcasts, and a host of other fine podcast platforms and providers. Hey, if the Hoodwood is not on your favorite, ask for it. Drop me a line and I'll see what I can do to get it there. Someone asked about iHeartRadio just a few weeks ago, and we're now on iHeartRadio, and we're there strong. As always, special thanks to Rage Pictures for providing production assistance. So that's it from the Hoodwood, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Until next time, fellow sports fans, I'm Merely Bev's son, AJ Green.
Sports from the Hoodwood
Is a Black Bandit Productions and Enterprises presentation.
of a 551 audio and films production.